Welcome back. As you know, I am Eli, the computer guy, here for the Daily Blob on location here in beautiful Vancouver, Canada for the first day of Web Summit. So let me just say something that might be a wee bit controversial here. I kind of like Vancouver, Canada. This is an absolutely beautiful part of the world. I'm here in a gas town. I have an Airbnb here in Gastown, and you can walk along the water, and you can look at the mountains, and you can drink some adequate coffee, and you can see some very weird drug users. I will tell you, they got drug users here, and they're of the curious variety. I haven't seen drug users quite like these folks before. But anyways, I gotta say, it's a beautiful place if you have any reason to come out here for, again, something like Web Summit. But anyways, that's not why you're here. You're not here to listen, to learn about the good stuff in the world. You don't come to Eli the computer guy for that. You come to me for the snark, the pure, unadulterated, uncut snark. So I wanted to talk about this today. So this is, Microsoft is laying off about 6,000 people, or 3% of its workforce. So they've got like 200 and some odd thousand people. They're getting rid of at least 6,000 of them, which is about 3% of the folks that work for Microsoft. And I want to talk about this today because yesterday I published a video and I have been getting my ass handed to me by the SJWs of the world. The SJWs watched my video yesterday and they said, "This cannot stand. How dare you say that employees should focus on ROI for the organization that they work for versus focusing on whatever the hell is going through their head at the current moment in time?" And I kind of think this is an interesting thing because, again, I do conversations with my viewers nowadays. I do them most Mondays. I do anywhere between 4 to 6 of them per week. I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these over the years, and basically the main question I get is how to get a job or how to get a better job or whatever else. And the weird thing is that most people don't focus on actually solving problems. I have very few questions about tech stacks. Node versus Python versus C#, AWS versus Azure versus Google Cloud or whatever else. It's all this basic job crap, right? And the big thing that I try to point out to people is that when you're the leader of an organization, your job as the leader, as the CEO, as the founder, as the boss, is to keep the ship going kind of sort of in that direction. Right, it's kind of like the quantum computer metaphor in the business world. You're not really going for one specific target. You're just going for a direction with the least resource consumption as possible. That makes sense if you understand quantum computers. Anyways, that's all you're just trying to do. And so you got a lot of stuff going on. And there's the normal stuff you think about, right? Again, product market fit. Do people in your area actually want your product? Can you purchase the product for the price that you need it for? What are the rules and regulations, right? So there's all this normal, basic entrepreneurship that you'll learn if you go through an entrepreneurship program. But then we've got the idiocy of the modern world. We now have a president of the United States that just decides to put 50% tariffs on an entire continent because why? Who knows? And again, to be clear with this, why are you talking about I'm not talking about politics. This is not globalization versus isolation. This isn't how you do tax policy. And again, think about it for these businesses. All of a sudden, right, you're buying this product, right? You're buying a product from China. You're buying a product from Europe. And it costs you $100, right? You buy it for $100 and you sell it for $130. You sell a metric crap ton of these things and you make a crap ton of money. Right now, all of a sudden, overnight, right? If they put a 50% tariff on the stuff coming in from Europe, let's say you're buying from Europe, then all of a sudden your cost goes from $100 to $150. So you were selling it at $130 before with a $30 profit. It now costs you $150 to get the exact same product. And to be clear, the President of the United States is telling you to eat the tariff. It now costs you more to buy the product than you were selling it for before. And the President of the United States is like, yeah, well, you should eat that. You're like, dude, that's not how business works. It's just like, we can have a lot of policy arguments. That's not how math works. Anyways, and again, one of the big issues that we're having right now is people have gotten in the tech world, and again, they've been hired for their asses. Right? The tech world had seats. They needed asses in seats. So you had a lot of people got hired, not for their ability to bring ROI to the company, not for their visionary, skills or whatever, not because of other stuff, but because, by God, they had an ass. And their CV or their resume, was good enough in order to put them in a particular seat. And so now the issue we have is we have a lot of people that are in these companies, and they literally believe that, part of their job is telling the boss what to do. Now, again, and think about that. Think about if you have a company, and again, not even a 200,000 person company. Think about if you had a company of 1,000 people or 100 people. Think about if you're the boss of a company of 100 people in 2025, and every goddamn one of those 100 people believe they have the absolute right to tell you what their political viewpoint is. And again, you got Christians, and you got Muslims, you got this, and you got the other, right? And again, it's the world that we're in. And the politics of our world is like so idiotic. Again, I talk about this with like Title IX. So again, with the trans folks, I feel bad with the trans folks because they keep getting brought up, probably when they shouldn't get brought up, but holy hell, they're a metaphor for so many things. But it's like Title IX, like under the Biden administration. So there's something called Title IX protections. And basically these Title IX protections are protections basically for gender and race and other things. And the big push for them was basically to protect women. Right? In the workplace, in sports, in other things, right? You are being disadvantaged, therefore we're going to have this thing called Title IX in order to try to remove the disadvantages that women have in the professional development environment. Again, jobs, again, as we're going to talk about bathrooms and sports and all this kind of stuff. And all of a sudden we get in this world where the Biden administration literally is using Title IX to force women to share bathrooms with men who say they're women. And again, however you feel about however you feel about bathrooms, however you feel about sports, again, if you actually listen to me, you'll know how I feel about a lot of these things. And it's not nearly as horrifying as, again, blue hairs think it is. But the issue is, think about that. A law that was created in order to protect women, to basically put in stone the right for women's consent, which is one of the things that should be upheld in our society, right? The thing that was designed for women's consent is being used to destroy women's consent. And depending on which side of the political spectrum you're on, you'll see the bathroom issue however the hell you see the bathroom issue. How do I see the bathroom issue? We need to redesign how bathrooms are done. I believe in dynamic bathrooms. Eli, what do you believe in? Dynamic bathrooms. If I am the leader of an organization, I never want to deal with the question of what bathroom you should use. Use the bathroom. The moment a bathroom becomes a legal issue for me is the moment I need to redesign how our bathrooms are designed. That's how my opinion is, right? But think about this, right? In the modern world, we have all these people, this side, that side. And again, I get in the middle of these arguments. I try to just stay the fuck out of these arguments, right? And again, you hear again with the Palestinians genocide, right? And again, if you follow me, you know how I feel about this. But again, you get people, Palestinians genocide. But then you get the other people, again, serious people. They're like, oh, what? The Israelis don't have a right to defend themselves? Are the Israelis the only human beings on the entire planet that don't have a right to defend themselves? And that's where I'm just like, oh God. I've got to go home. Hey, guess what? You know what's really cool? I am not the leader of an organization. Ergo, I'm going to go the fuck home right now. Anywho, right? So imagine if you're the leader of an organization and every jackass in your organization is not focused on ROI, is not focused on how to produce more widgets at a cheaper price or sell more widgets at a higher price, they're worried about all this stuff. Who is using your particular product? Again, think about this for a second. Think about that. And again, how ridiculous this gets. Because again, I talked about this again, this video with Microsoft, and Microsoft banned the use of using the words Gaza and Palestine and apartheid and some other things in their emails. And again, blue hairs are losing their minds. But just think about this for a second. Just think about this for a second. Have you ever thought about who eats Cheetos? Do more Israelis eat Cheetos, or do more Palestinians eat Cheetos? Can you imagine if you had a Cheeto factory and then all of a sudden, a chunk of your employees start screaming at you because don't you understand you are literally feeding the genocide? Which genocide? There's so many to pick from, but the one. All of a sudden, you're not supposed to sell Cheetos to whoever, because that is literally providing sustenance to a genocide. Again, and how do you do that kind of business? And the point that I bring out here, again, not that you should not protest, not that you should not go and start your own organization, not that you should not go and support organizations that align with your whatever the hell it is that you believe in. But that the big issue is if people are running these companies and they start running in these issues where everybody believes that their politics are superior to whatever the hell is else going on in the organization, that functionally the organization cannot continue. The only reason this garbage has been allowed to continue as long as it has is because we have had 1% interest rates. Rich people take out loans at 1% rate. They then hand it to companies. Again, basically they buy equity. They then loan it out essentially to other places where they think they can get 10 or 15 or 1,000% interest rate, and they collect the profit off of the spread. Right? 1% interest rates are disappearing. Nobody fucking likes the startup world. Again, if you ever watch the show, Silicon Valley, there's this one point when they go to an investor and they're all screaming about who's worse. And then the investor's like, I don't fucking like any of you. Guess what? That's how the world feels about the startups and most of the tech world right now. And so, hey, if you can get better returns from not investing in tech companies, you're going to go for that. And then all of a sudden, the tech companies no longer have as much money coming into them for investment. They also have issues, again, with plateauing products and revenues and everything else. And so you get to this point when all of a sudden, tech companies literally are deciding to dump employees. They went from hiring tens of thousands of employees per year to now dumping tens of thousands of employees per year. And guess what, boys and girls? If you are going on your company Slack and screaming about Gaza, oh, that one. Hey, boss, who should we fire today? I don't know. Who talked about Gaza? Him. Get rid of him. Who should we fire today? The next person that emails you that has apartheid in their auto signature. Get rid of them, right? And that's just how it goes. I'm not telling you it's a good system. I am telling you it's the fucking system we got, you jackasses. Anyways, Microsoft laid off about 6,000 people, or 3% of its workforce. And again, think about this in the environment of Twitter laying off so many people, and Google laying off so many people, and Amazon laying off so many people, and Facebook. We're going to talk about Facebook probably tomorrow. Fuck. God bless Mark Zuckerberg. When you think anybody else is brutal, just wait for Mark Zuckerberg to do something. Like, damn, that's horrible. Anyway, Meta's laying off people. And so Microsoft now is laying off 6,000 more people because they don't need them, boys and girls. Microsoft, again, coming from CNBC, Microsoft on Tuesday said that it's laying off 3% of employees across all levels, teams, and geographies, affecting about 6,000 people. Quote, we continue to implement organizational changes necessary to best position the company for success in a dynamic marketplace, a Microsoft spokesperson said in a statement to CNBC. In a world without 1% interest rates, we got too damn many people. The company reported better than expected results. And again, this is one of the big things to be thinking about too. And it's so fucked. Again, it's screwed up. Look, if you're an employee right now, I'm not telling you this is, it's the world we live in. I'm just telling you it's the world we live in, right? And that's one of the issues we're seeing, is we're seeing a lot of these tech companies, their revenue is actually up, or their revenue is better than they expected. The thing is, they still don't need nearly as many employees as they do. So they're still getting rid of employees. So you have these employees, they're like, look, the company's doing better. I should get a raise. And instead they're getting laid off. And again, as I talked about before, it's not racism when they fire you now. The racism happened 3 years ago when they hired you. Which again is a horrible thing to say, but it's also true, right? They didn't need you 3 years ago. They hired you 3 years ago for SJW points, right? When they were kissing ass to the last administration and when they were kissing ass to investors, that's why they hired you. And they kept you along because that was the environment that they're in. The environment changed ever so much, and so now they're firing you. Right? I don't know. You can blame them. You can hate the messenger, so long as you give me an interaction below. Make sure just to stamp the hell out of that dislike button. Anyways, let's see. The company reported better than expected results with $25.8 billion in quarterly net income and an upbeat forecast in late April. Microsoft had 228,000 employees worldwide at the end of June. On Tuesday, Washington State said the company was reducing the headcount tied to its Redmond headquarters by 1,985, including 1,510 in the office. And this is going to be an interesting thing, again, especially in the high-tech areas. Again, the Seattles of the world, the Austins of the world, and those types of things, is you have incredibly expensive places to live, right? The tech industry jacked the cost of living in these areas into the stratosphere. Before, if you got laid off, you just walk over and get a job with Twitter. That's not going to happen now, is it? And so again, an interesting thing that's going to see for a lot of these places is what happens, again, not even just in the tech world, the tech industry, but what happens to the greater areas, around Seattle and that type of thing. In total, it's likely Microsoft's latest round of layoffs since the elimination of 10,000 roles in 2023. So it got rid of 10,000 in 2023. In January, the company announced a small round of layoffs that were performance-based. These new job cuts are not related to performance, the spokesperson said. One objective is to reduce layers of management, the spokesperson said. Quote, how do you really tweak the incentives go to market, Nadella said. At a time of platform shifts, you kind of want to make sure you lean into even the new design wins and you just don't keep doing the stuff that you did in the previous generation. Again, as I've talked about before, the people that got you to where you are not necessarily the people to where you're going. The people that got you all of that investment money are not going to get you to where you need to go in a world where you need revenue and you need profit. And so they are just dumping people by the thousands. By the thousands. And when you're dumping people by the thousands, it's not personal. Again, a lot of people's like, oh, and you go to them, it's like, it's business, it's not personal. Again, one, it's the big tech world, so it was never personal. And then two, again, at this scale, it's just truly not personal. Again, I talk about that with the YouTuber Nerdgasm, Jerry Berg. Who got laid off. And it wasn't even that he got laid off. He worked for Microsoft. His department just got axed. 2,500 people were axed in one day. It was not personal. 2,500 people went at a go. And that's the thing to be looking at with these large tech companies is they just have to dump people. They have to dump people by the bushel. And when I talk about this stuff with SJW, when I talk about this stuff with politics, people get very confused. Oh, Eli says we shouldn't care about guys. Eli says we shouldn't care about trans people. Eli, oh, shut the fuck up. That's not what I'm saying, right? You entitled little brats that have been working in a bull market for the past 16 years. You don't even realize how spoiled you are. A fish does not see water. You spoiled little brats don't see privilege. Again, one of the most hilarious things is when I'm around people screaming about privilege. And again, as somebody who grew up dirt fucking poor, I'm like, you buccos are so privileged. You're so, oh, are you sipping those $10 micro brews in a place where, houses are, 3 times the cost they were like 6 years ago, getting paid from outside markets? Oh, are you gonna be talking about other people's fucking privilege? Anyways, and the issue is, again, that I'll tell you folks out there, is basically when you're going out and you're doing this political stuff and you're hammering on your bosses and the rest of it, it just puts a big ass bullseye on you, right? When they're looking to eliminate people, I can tell you one of the easiest ways to eliminate people is don't just block something, give me a log file. Log everybody who says anything about Gaza and trans and apartheid and whatever else. Log that shit, throw it into a relational database, and then point value them by how many times this crap is talked about. And the ones at the top, they're the first to fucking go. Right? Again, if they're not talking about replication strategies, if they're not talking about do you do memory resident databases versus on disk storage or whatever else, if they're not talking about FLAPE, if they're not talking about IOPS, if they're not talking about Node versus C#, right? If they're on the company dime, if they're on the company systems, talking about all this other stupid crap, get them the hell gone. Because again, one of the issues you got to be thinking about is there's so many lurkers in the world, right? There's so many people that just want to do their damn job. They just want to go in and they just want to do their job. If you do not believe in this company, if you believe this company is evil, quit, leave, go do something else, right? You have so many people that go in. And again, they're getting hammered. I have talked with many young technology professionals that are actually successful. And one of their big questions is, Eli, how do I get out of this mess? I want to come in and I want to code. I want to come in and I want to build systems. I don't want to be dealing with this other garbage. And so you have these people that are forcing this crap into other people's faces day in and day out. And again, right? They're not introspective. They're not empathetic to their own peers. They don't realize how much frustration this crap is causing, right? And so if you're an organization leader, who do you want to get rid of? Right? Who is at the top of the list to eliminate when you've got to eliminate people by the thousands? Right? The people you eliminate are the ones that are forcing your ship to start going into a direction that you just don't want the ship to go into. Again, you're just trying to make your organization go somewhere that way. Again, it's quantum computing. You're not looking for accurate. You're just looking for like that-ish way. We want to go northwest. And you have all these people that are trying to get you to go south. So, okay, well, you know what? We're just going to eliminate all the people that are trying to get us to go south. So hopefully we'll keep going in the proper direction. So anyways, there you go. Again, some more stuff to think about. Again, I don't know. Dear Blue Hairs, if you're mad, if you're mad, you're mad. I don't know what to tell you. This is the system. This is the system that you're profiting off of. This is the system you are profiting off of. This is the system that creates the blood money that you drink down every day, right? That bloody microbrew that you just guzzle by the gallon. These companies are where it comes from. Again, the interesting thing, right, with the privatization of government and military services. Again, not saying it's good or bad, just the reality that we have. Again, Whether it's Google, whether it's Microsoft, whether it's Amazon, whether it's DigitalOcean, they have services they are providing to a global market. The fact of the matter is, some people are going to use this crap for things that turn many of our stomachs. The problem is, for these organizations, what do they do? Again, think about it right now. Think about it right now with Trump and with Microsoft, right? Trump is what Trump is. Trump is the anti-Biden in many ways. He is very alive, he is very weak, and he's very nasty about it, right? Imagine if Microsoft comes out and they start blocking support to Israel, right? Again, Microsoft has a lot of other contracts. We see how vindictive Trump is just against Harvard for doing not much, right? Imagine if Microsoft comes out full-throated. And again, I know you, well, yeah, I guess you can't fight against the Nazis. But here's the thing to be thinking about, right? Again, with Microsoft, how many 401ks, IRAs, and pension funds own Microsoft stock? If you tank Microsoft stock, right, that is literally taking money from your grandparents. I know you don't give a shit about your grandparents. I know you don't give a fuck if your grandparents starve to death. But here's the reality, some people do, right? Again, it's a bad system, but it is the system, right? You have the employees that work for Microsoft, that have kids and all that kind of stuff. You have the systems, right? Are Microsoft systems being used by Israel, by the IDF? Yep. Are Microsoft systems also being used by the Red Cross? Is it also being used by the Red Crescent? Are they also being used by any number of humanitarian organizations? Right? They do something, Trump starts beating the ever-loving hell out of them. What happens when they cannot provide services to other organizations? Right? These are larger questions that a CEO like Nadella has to be thinking about and has to be considering. And again, it's more than what you might be seeing at your view, your perspective. So yeah. Again, Nadella's doing it wrong. Great. Build your own company. Go out there, right? If Nadella is such a piece of crap, if I am such a piece of garbage, cool. Go out and teach 10 kids how to use Linux today. Go out and migrate a nonprofit organization, again, to Linux. Go out to a nonprofit organization and build a platform so that they can do whatever the hell it is they do better than they're currently doing. Go out. You're so smart. And engineer, designs or whatever for the refugee camps and figure out what to do with the refugees. Again, nobody really talks about the refugees. I mean, it's amazing. The Middle East, so many Middle Eastern countries have so many refugees. And nobody even talks about that shit. Again, Jordan's supposed to take like 1 million more. Hey, Jordan. Jordan's like the size of Vancouver. Like, Jordan's like this big. They're supposed to take like 1 million more refugees for some dumbass reason. But anyways, that's all I got. So I've got a walk I have to go through here for Web Summit. They're doing a little walk. So I'm gonna go power walk around Vancouver. Vancouver is an absolutely beautiful place. And with that, see y'all later.